Hey, everybody, I am Kevin Iole. Welcome to Yahoo Sports UFC 283 Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, January 21st. And the co-main event of that is they're doing it again. Do they ever fight anybody else? Brandon Moreno, the interim flyweight champion, fighting Deiveson Figueiredo, the flyweight champion. Joining me right now, the interim champ, Brandon Moreno. And Brandon, do you ever get sick of seeing this guy's face?
Hey guys, I promise it's the last one. I will finish this guy, and that's it. Let's see the next challengers. But man, I know. Looks like we will gonna fight the like forever, right? But no, man. I mean, I think it's part of history,
Yeah.
and it's very unusual. I understand that, but at the same time, it's an special situation for both of us. I'm just trying to enjoy it.
I mean, I look at it, Brandon, and I say, you've had great fights. I'm just trying to look here. What is it? Two of them were fight of the night. One of them you won a performance of the night. I mean, so they're great fights. So why not see it again, right? Especially given the stakes that are involved.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just make fun about it because I understand a lot of people is saying like, man, again these guys, again Deiveson Figueiredo against Brandon Moreno. Like, I mean, I understand the point, but I mean, it's part of the history, and it's very unusual. Like two guys start fighting each other three times, and it's one draw and one win for each other. So, man, it's a special situation, but I don't know. I have the feeling inside of me like this is the last one. I mean, that's the win or lose, and that's it. So that's a lot of pressure, of course, but at the same time, I'm so excited to fight against him.
You're going to his country in Brazil for the last one. So does that put any, make it any more extra difficult to go down there and you have to fight on his turf, where obviously the crowd's not only going to be for him, their famous chant of kill him, and all that. They're going to kind of be and naturally not looking too kindly upon you.
Man, for me, this is Rocky Four. I mean, for me, this is legacy. This is a movie. Right, the movie is like writing by himself. So, man, again, of course, it's a lot of pressure and extra pressure. Go to Brazil, go to his hometown, and maybe the people will be against me or not. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, we had the little media tour in November here in Rio, and man, uh, all the people was like very gentle with me, very kind, very nice with me. So I had a really nice reception from the Brazilian people, and I hear like Davidson hasn't like a good relation with the Brazilian people. Maybe if you compare with I don't know Anderson Silva with Jose Aldo, right? So
Right.
so I don't know. Let's see what happened. I mean, I can see this scenario like maybe at first the people will be with Davison, but with the pass of the time, with the pass of the rounds, I feel I can win the hearts of the Brazilian people here in Brazil.
That would be very interesting to see. I want to ask you this: over your last, four fights, the three fights against Figueiredo and the fight against Kai Kara France, I think one of the, obviously you've gotten better as a fighter, technically, physically, but I think the greatest improvement in my mind has been, your mindset, and you've had some disappointment in there. The Anaheim loss, where you got that. Do you remember that ovation you got as you were walking to the ring? I mean, it almost brought the house down that night. It was a crazy thing. And then your loss to Figueiredo in Vegas here was a fight where, I know you probably thought you won that. Mentally, how do you keep yourself positive, and how have you been able to grow and block out all the negative stuff and just focus on what you need to in order to win a fight?
Kevin, to be honest, I don't know. Maybe it's something natural in me because I can recognize that like uh part of the key of my success is like I'm always very positive, and I always like trying to pass the page and see what can do in the future or what I need to do to be better again. So yeah, man, I remember that moment in Anaheim. At first, everything was like very cool because man, you was there, all the Mexican people with the Mexican flags yelling my name. Man, that moment was special, man. That moment was electrified. So I don't know. After the fight, obviously I lost, and I feel very frustrated, very very sad. But man, I remember that this the same night I fought against Deiveson, the same night where I was in my hotel room talking with my manager, making a plan to to see what is next. Like, hey, what we need to do to get that belt back. And man, I did it. In some point, I did it right against Kai Kara France. Obviously, I have the fight against Davison for the undisputed belt, but man, uh, I don't know, man. I think this is something natural. I think I'm just trying to be the positive way every single time in every single scenario, and that's it, man. Again, I understand this fight will be very hard, but I don't know, man. I did a lot of good things for this one, and like you say, I bought the evolution of the sport by myself is really cool. Not just in the technical part, but in the mental part.
Right.
I grew up like a lot too much, and I'm ready to fight.
Obviously, one of the other mental things you have to deal with is, the situation with your coaching. James Krause, and the whole thing put out, the UFC put that thing out because of he's suspended by Nevada and the gambling situation that fighters can't train in his gym. You had been, I guess, at the beginning of camp, right? When that came out. How did it affect you, and how do you overcome that? That's a difficult thing. He helped you move to another level against Kai Kara France. Now you lose him. Isn't that difficult?
Was Harman, of course. I made a huge and nice relation and a close relation with James. I have a lot of love for him because he helped me when I needed. Like, he opened his house for me. He opened the doors of the gym for me, and I met his family and everything. Man, I love James Krause. When I hear about the bad news, I was in Kansas training with him. I remember I was in my home there in Kansas, and he called me and we have this long conversation. And man, of course, it was painful and was hard at first, but again, I just tried to pass the page quickly, like, man, what I need to do. And at the same time, I had all the support from James. Like, hey, man, he told me, like, hey, whatever you need to do, whatever you decide, it's fine for me. It doesn't, I mean, don't stop for me or whatever. And and I say just like, thank you so much, coach, and that's it. So yes, man, everything was very hard, but um, in that moment I came back to Vegas and I started to talk with my team. I started to talk with Jason, and we decided to work with Saif from Dallas, from Fortis MMA. He was very open to help. He told with Jason and said like, hey man, I don't need like any credit. I don't want I don't want nothing. I just want to help Brandon because I know he's a nice guy. I just want to help Brandon because I know he's very special for you. And actually, I wanna help James for the close relation I have with him, and that's it, man. I started to work with him. Maybe the first week was a little bit hard because uh, we're like a new working each other, but then after that we connect perfectly and we made an amazing end of the training camp.
I want to actually, James, one of the best coaches in MMA, and my relations with him, both as a fighter and as a coach, always great. One of the real good guys in MMA, I would say. He hasn't spoken publicly since all this went down. I got to imagine it's tough on him. But what can you tell us about how he's handling this? Because it can't be fun. I mean, he's in the middle of a controversy that I think a lot of people don't understand, don't know all the details with, and he's getting hit a lot. How is he doing from what you know?
Man, man, to be honest, I don't know too much because after to talk with him, I moved back to Vegas and I keep my training there. I don't know, man. My thoughts about this situation in my personal
Right.
thoughts is like, man, I still loving James a lot. You know, I mean, if he did what the people say he did, I mean, he will pay, and that's it, man. You
Yeah.
know, the, and it's very crazy how the people forget that we are human beings and everybody made mistakes. You
Right.
know, and if he made a mistake, he will pay. But if he doesn't make a mistake, hopefully the law can clarify all this and clean his name. You know, but that's it, man. that doesn't change the love I feel for him.
Let's go into the fight briefly here. You are this will be the fourth fight in a little over 2 years, right? You fought him the first time in 2020. How are you different as a fighter, and how do you think that gives you a better chance to win, given the first fight in Las Vegas in December of 2020?
Oof, that's a good one. I mean, every single fight was different, right? Like the first one, I tried to do my best, but I don't have a game plan. I understand Deiveson neither, but man, I went to the fight like with all these people talking around me, like, "Hey, be careful because Deiveson is very powerful. Be careful because Deiveson is a monster. He has a lot of power in the right hand. He can knock you out with just one punch and whatever." So I was very careful in the first fight. In the second one, after the first one, obviously, after to feel his power and after to understand like he's not a monster, he's a human being, like me. I had a lot of confidence to throw punches with him and put pressure on him, and that's it. And the third one was different because I don't know, man. I feel very emotional in that fight. I mean, watching films and watching the fight again. I mean, that Brandon Moreno was very emotional, and maybe it was because I had a lot of pressure in my shoulders.
Right.
Like, the responsibilities with the bell, the media, the interviews, the cameras. Like, people watch me what I'm doing like every single time. So that was a lot of pressure for me. But man, right now for this training camp, I just try to keep focusing to get fun, to enjoy the training camp, to enjoy the practices, the sweat, the surfer in the middle of the practice, and that's it, man. It's very simple for me. It's go, do your best, get fun there, enjoy the people, enjoy Brazil, and that's it, man. Right now, I feel very positive.
So let's wrap with this, Brandon. This is your fifth consecutive title fight, right? The three with
Yeah,
Figueiredo, Kai Kara France. Now this will be 5 in a row. What are the odds of there being a sixth?
man. I mean, I think it's part of the success, right? Like, if I win this belt, I mean, the next one will be for a title shot
Right.
again, and the next one and the next one. So that's it, man. I mean, I don't have too much to say about it. Like, I understand that will be my life in the future for me.
Awesome. You finish them. What do? How do you see it ending?
Nothing, man. Enjoy the show. I mean, enjoy the history of this fight because we'll be crazy and will be awesome. I'm very excited and feel very positive again. And nothing. I'm excited for the challenge to go to Brazil. We say in Spanish, we say la boca del lobo, like the wolf mount. We're going straight to the wolf mount. So nothing, man. I'm excited. Enjoy it.
All right. On January 21st, coming up, you're going to see that man, Brandon Moreno, against Deiveson Figueiredo. They've had 3 great fights. It should be another one. Brandon, always fun to talk to you. Best of luck to you.
Let's go, Kevin. Have a nice day, man.